Hi everyone, Chris here, and I wanted to continue our talk about what we can learn from photography and videography and just really good composition to enhance our instructional materials. Today, I wanted to go a little bit technical and talk about the exposure triangle, because a lot of people are out trying to capture images without any formal training, and this kind of can confuse people because there are three components to the exposure triangle, as the word triangle implies. The first is shutter speed. Now, that's literally the amount of time that an old-fashioned camera would flip the shutter up and drop the shutter back down. Obviously, the longer the shutter is up, the more light that gets in. And also, in the same time, the longer the shutter's up, if you have a moving target in a photograph, you're going to have a little bit of a blur. Sometimes you want that if you're taking a photograph of a little stream going by and you want it to be all ripply. But sometimes you don't. If you're taking a picture of a sports action and you want to catch the layup, well, you don't want to catch the layup as a blur, unless you do. The second part of the exposure triangle is the aperture. And we talked about the aperture a few days ago when we were talking about depth of field. And so the aperture is literally where, like the iris in your eye, it opens and closes to let more or less light through. Now, the aperture opening and closing alters your depth of field. So now you have two things in play: how crisp your photo is going to be from a movement perspective, and how much depth of field you're going to have in the image. So two things to play with. And then there's the third element, ISO. What does ISO even mean? ISO starts generally at 100 and then it goes up into sometimes thousands. So what do you do with ISO? Well, ISO has to do with back in the day when you had film that was plastic and it had chemicals on it. And the ISO referred to the sensitivity and the way that those chemicals were laid on. The higher the number, the more sensitive the image. And that's the exposure triangle. So when you're trying to compose an image and you need to have certain things, depth of field or a crispness in the image, if it's moving, you need to balance these three elements. So something to think about as you muck with the settings on your camera. All right. Well, that's all for today, and I will chat with you tomorrow.